Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Reach Out podcast. This is your host, Juan Pablo Orques, and I cannot begin to explain how happy I am to be back in this podcast and just helping you guys in your professional development journey. I want to give this moment to give a huge shout out to all the people in the Cameron management and S person building team, all the way from you, Natara, to Christine, Trinosa, Ashley, for helping me make this possible, this in person format for the Reach Out podcast that you are able to experience from now on. So, thank you if you're watching this. And today we're going to kick it off with an amazing guest. We are lucky enough to be interviewing the great Natara Branch. Natara, thank you for being here, and how's it going?
It's going fantastic. Now that you say the great Natara, I don't think if anybody's ever given me that opening. So now I'm going to start walking around like I'm the great Natara. No,
That is
it's
the
great.
standard.
It's actually been fantastic. This has been an amazing start of a year. We had H-Town Roundup for a week. Better, bigger, longer, more action packed. It was fantastic. So great start to the year. And I'm just really ready to go.
Amazing. And Tara, tell us a little bit more about yourself. Where did you graduate from, and what do you currently do?
I am a proud University of Houston alum. I actually sit on the board of visitors for U of H as well. Long time Bauer School board member as well. Graduated years ago. Oh, you bleeped that out? From the business school accounting degree for University of Houston. Very, very, very proud alum. Love my university and happy to give back at this point. But I've spent the last 18 and a half years in New York working at the National Football League. And then prior to that, I was with Exxon here in Greater Houston.
Amazing. Today, Natara, we're going to discuss the love for success. So you see, love and success are two items that often go hand in hand, and I believe that you are the perfect example for this topic. So I want to start off this interview by asking you and prefacing by mentioning that you're currently the CEO of Houston Exponential, right?
Mhm.
And seeing the amazing work that this company is doing with communities and organizations such as the Houston Ion and Greenhouse Labs, what are some of the most valuable lessons that you've learned while being part of this technological innovation industry?
Sure. So the way that I got to Houston Exponential was when I was at the NFL and I was working in tech and innovation for sport. Um, a lot of things were happening here in Greater Houston. A lot of momentum around wanting this to become a tech hub, an innovation hub, and really that it wasn't the that we needed to get innovation. It was more that we needed to get recognition for that innovation because there's some really phenomenal things that are happening in Greater Houston. We helped to launch things to the moon, if you will. I was like, you can't get more innovative than space. But at any rate, we've literally got health tech, we've got bioeconomy, we've got sports tech, we've have all of these different economies that are now emerging. But also these legacy industries that are in tech and innovation. And I wanted to be a part of something big coming back to Greater Houston. And so that's how I got to become with Houston Exponential. And what I've learned is that Greater Houston is really, really cool. I mean, we have some intelligent, literal rocket scientists in Greater Houston, but we are very humble. And so I always say that when things are happening and no one knows about it, it's not really happening. And so we have a whole bunch of things that are happening in this greater region, and people just don't realize, recognize, or want to talk about it because they think, I don't want to pat myself on the back. But it's time to do that. And that's what I've spent the last 18 months in doing, is attempting to get our region to really be loud and proud about what we're accomplishing here. We're not solving problems for Houston. We're not solving problems for Texas even. We're solving problems for global reach and intergalactic reach.
Right.
And so it's one of those things where we've got to be more vocal. And that's I think the biggest thing that I've learned is how to get people who are doing some amazing things to talk about it.
100%. And two things that you mentioned, the aspect of emerging people, emerging companies, and you see the community side of it as well. Being part of the greater Houston area is, at least for me, I've been here for 3 years now,
Okay.
and it's unmatched. People are like so proud to be from Houston, and they have like this chip on their shoulder, like you mentioned in previous conversations that we had, and having that chip on your shoulder often goes hand in hand with the community side of it. You want to see other people from Houston thrive and succeed, and that sense of pride and desire for success is what opened the doors for communities such as the Ion that brings events such as H Town Roundup, which is it happened as you mentioned earlier this year, and it was just an amazing opportunity to see how people from the innovation and entrepreneurship and technological industry, they just work hand in hand to make Greater Houston, and not only that, but the entire world a better place.
Yeah.
So with that said, I remember reading in an article back in 2022 that when Gal companies acquired Houston Exponential and they were looking for the new CEO, a criteria for the role was that they needed to love the city of Houston, Natara. Obviously, we fast forward 2 years later, and you're now the CEO of Houston Exponential. So, talk to me about your love for the city of Houston and how has that impacted your career trajectory?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head. It's like that chip on the shoulder, and
Mm.
that's actually what I think most of your viewers are from University of Houston. That's why I loved University of Houston as well, and it's indicative of the region that it's in. Is that we have this chip on our shoulder, like we know we're great, but we don't get recognized for that, and so it's like we're always having to prove ourselves, and so
Right.
that's kind of the way I've even had my career. It's like I know I'm good at what I do. I was this great accountant from the University of Houston. How could I not succeed, right? But I was going up to New York, and people may have not necessarily looked down on me, but not necessarily thought of me in the same level as they may have thought of
Mm.
people in Ivy Leagues and things of that nature. And people have even made comment to it. And so I always had to prove myself and always had to be that much better until I realized, wait a minute. I am from University
Yeah.
of Houston. I am from the South. I do bring value to this table in this conversation. And then I'm like, now you prove yourself to me. But no, it's just that chip on the shoulder that makes us roll up our sleeves and get dirty with it and just really do things. That's what Greater Houston is about. It's about doing things, not just talking about it. And I think that's what has really propelled my career. Is like if there's not many roles that I've led a team in that I've not done every task.
Right.
Every inch of the task. I am willing to roll up my sleeves and get down and dirty because I want to make sure that things get done and get done with excellence. And so, it's just a really, really good to me background to have is that chip on your shoulder, and that gritty nature of Greater Houston really fuels that. And I think that's why people love this area. They love it because people are kind, people are accessible, people are smart,
Mm.
people are doing things. And who doesn't want to be around that essence?
Definitely. And like you mentioned, uh, the audience for this podcast being people from U of H. And, I started this podcast primarily because of the influence that students from U of H have in me. I want to see my colleagues, I want to see my friends succeed, get the jobs that they want to get the internship that they want to get. And that is why I'm standing here and just interviewing you today. So I want to move into that topic,
Okay.
into your presence in the Bauer College of Business. And you were the guest speaker at the Bauer Leadership Night last semester, which was a great event. That was the first time that I heard you speak, and I did not expect your message and like you as a person to stick in my head for this long. You know,
I have a way of getting in people's head now.
in
Thank
a
you for
good
that. Thank
way.
you for that.
So I want to ask you, Natara, where does this connection and passion for the students come from? Like, I want to know what type of change you want to see in the next class of upcoming professionals. What type of future do you want to see for them?
Oh, that's such an easy question for me. Where it comes from is that I was this student that didn't necessarily have a path that was already written for me.
Mm.
It's not like I come from a whole entire legacy of people who were wanting to be accountants or anything like that. My family was in the military, very, very successful in the military, but that just wasn't my calling. And
Mm.
so I kind of was the not I was just the oddball, went corporate, and this accountant, this bean counter, and a very proud calculator head.
Yes.
And so I made a lot of errors, trial by fire, if you will, and had amazing, amazing mentors in my family because, like I said, they were extremely successful, but not necessarily on the path that I was on. And so why I am so passionate about that is because University of Houston brings people from all over the world. You have an experience at University of Houston that you don't have in many universities. The diversity there is like second to none. And so I can be sitting next to people who speak multiple languages, have had multiple experiences globally, which I also had because of my military background. And you're just learning and learning different aspects. And I think that's why I'm able to pick up and move to a New York and still be successful, or pick up and move to a Los Angeles or a Minnesota and still be successful. And I think that's what makes the University of Houston Cougar exceptional, is that we have that ability because we're around so many different things and people right there in our pocket of University of Houston. So I'm passionate because I want students to understand what they have at University of Houston is is incredible. It is an incredible opportunity that they may not get in elsewhere, specifically in Texas and or in this country, and they need to utilize that to the best of their ability. It puts us a step ahead, but they don't realize it. And we don't actually even tout that a lot. And that's what I'm attempting to get the university to start to do. But it sets us up for success in ways that we are not even, really maximizing.
Definitely. And like one thing that you mentioned that I want to highlight is that people don't really understand the magnitude of just being part of UH and being part of Bauer. It's a gold mine for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Because, I remember when I joined Bauer and I was my first semester of my sophomore year, every week, every month, every semester that went by, it would just get better and better and better. And the opportunities for you are there, and students helping out other students,
Yeah.
seniors helping out the freshmen, the sophomores, then the alumni connecting with the seniors, and it's just like an ongoing snowball effect of this greatness that comes within being a cougar. You know?
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, and we have to be honest with you. Back in the day, it was not something
Mm.
that you were proud of to be from University of Houston. You just were not. Now it is a badge of honor. So why not wear that badge loud and proud? And the one thing you said, and I did not respond to initially, was around what do I expect from students? Is to actually capitalize on that gold mine, to utilize the fact that they have this resource of alumni. I think the head of alumni, Mike Paday, put out this week that 1 in 6 people, something to that effect, in Houston are related to, somewhat
Mm.
connected to, a University of Houston Cougar. You can't go many places in Houston without running into a cougar.
Oh yeah.
And so it's there's a natural connection there that we should be networking and helping each other and really, pushing for the university to continue to succeed under the current president. She is amazing at what she's done in the tenure that she's had, and getting us to be recognized, nationally. And then throw in my favorite topic of sports, and it's just unmatched. And so it is a great time to be a Cougar. It's a great time to be a Greater Houston resident, and we really need to really step in and lean into that.
100%, 100%. With that, I'm going to follow with the next question, which is talking about the demographic of the Reach Out podcast, being college students mainly.
Okay.
And I'll tell you this, and we were talking about this in previous conversations as well, is that one thing about a college student is that sometimes we will lean towards functionality over passion. We will choose a stable job and make the safe bet on a secure career before betting on our passions and our hobbies. So, what is your intake on that, and what advice do you give to that student who is debating on whether putting all the chips into what they're passionate about?
Well, so it's a hard question to ask, and you and I have had this conversation before, because I think it really is dependent on the individual. It's not a universal answer.
Mm.
So for me, I went very practical. Accounting is one of those safe industries in which you always have some type of job. I can always do somebody's taxes at the end of the day, but it is safe. Even though I love it, you cut me, I bleed numbers. I love accounting. But it is a safe kind of thing. And then I'm passionate about sports. I'm passionate about wealth equity. I'm passionate about innovation. I'm passionate about athletic equity. And so, all of those things I got from a passion perspective, I got because I went into something that was really practical and it really had a great foundation. Now, you look at somebody like my husband's career, who he went into the very opposite. He went for his passion in sports. He is doing exactly what he was born and bred and called to do. And so, but we had different struggles. We had different opportunities, even, and in fact, are writing a book about it, because he went one way, as you talked about, following the passion, and I went the other way, following practical to get to the passion, and both worked. We're
Mm.
two different people, and both worked. Now you could have the opposite effect where neither works, right? You could be passionate and sitting there, on the side of the street asking for money or whatever. But and that's not a funny topic, but you know what I mean. It's one of those things where I believe it's about your work ethic. I don't know if it's really about whether or not you are passion. You're only going into your passion, or you're going into something functional. I think it's really about your work ethic. If I'm passionate about something and my work ethic is tremendous, that's gonna propel me. If I am in a functional role and it's as wonderful and creative as accounting can be,
Yeah.
it's going to my passion is going to get there because my work ethic is there. I think young people today forget that it's work ethic that's really going to propel them. And they're like, I'm really passionate about X. And they forget that I've got to work really, really hard. And I tell people all the time, stop looking at people's chapter 30 and start looking at their chapter 1. Whether you are passionate about something or whether you were functionally going into something, your chapter 1 had a lot of bumps and bruises.
Yes.
But you're looking at everybody's chapter 30, and that Beyonce, my friend in my head, who's extremely successful at her passion, but look at her chapter 1, she was not. And so you have both things that are going on. And whether you follow one or the other, it really is about your work ethic and making sure you're the best at what you're doing in the seat that you're in.
Definitely, Natara. And I remember when we were talking about this initially, you mentioned something that is going to stick with me, I believe, for the rest of my life, is that you have to be the best at whatever you're doing. Have to be the best. If you're doing a job that you may think that at the moment is not going to lead you to opening that door to what you're passionate towards, you still have to be the best at it.
Oh, 100%. And one of the things I tell people, I was talking to a young lady who is working in an organization, and she was like, I'm just not happy when I come to work. I'm here because I'm just trying to figure out what's next. And I was like, okay, so what do you want to do? I just asked her, I'm not going to get there with you, but strategically, what do you want to do? And she told me, and I said, well, that department is like 3 doors down. Why aren't you there every day volunteering, asking for projects, even shadowing for projects, but you're sitting in your current role just mad when you have the resource right down the hallway? And my point in that was not to make her feel bad about what she was doing, but I think going back to what you just said, that I said, I guess, is around in the seat you're in, you've got to do your best because people are going to recognize you in that. They're going to recognize you because you're good. No one wants to just like you're going to be a phenomenal podcaster, right? And if, it's going to have all of the bells and the whistles. But if you don't do this right now, the best that you can be, no one's going to tap you on the shoulder and give you all the lights and the shiny glory. So you have to do the best that you can in the seat that you're in right now.
I love that. And, I feel like that's a very healthy and necessary reminder that at least I know some of the like youngsters don't really want to hear.
I love it, youngsters.
But it's like it's the reality, Like I know a lot of people ask me about the podcast and why do I do it, and it's like you know the reason why I did the interview style podcast is because as much as I would love the idea for students be like, I want to hear what you have to say, that's not reality. I'm just a student. But whenever I interview people like yourself, Natara, that's the reality. Like this is the real life testimony that you have to be the best at whatever you're doing at this point in time, because in the future, you don't know if that door might open.
Yeah.
And the same people that recognize you for the job they're doing right now are going to vouch for you for when that door opens. So
Absolutely. The people that you're interviewing, they're going to remember you if you were doing your best right then and there. And so kudos, and I totally agree.
Natara, your career in the NFL was admirable. 18 years, you were part of the organization through departments such as new business development and strategic planning. And I recall one of the things that you loved about the league that you mentioned in Bauer Leadership Night was the team building aspect of success.
Yeah.
In that field, every single player has to contribute, to get that win. So talk to me about how working with a good team professionally throughout your career has impacted your success, and more importantly, what are some of the challenges that go unnoticed when working with a team on a professional level?
So, to the first part of the question, we were talking about why I love football, the game, and it was around the 11 folks that are out there. They're all different backgrounds, all different demographics, different sizes, different shapes, different skill sets, but they have that one goal to get into the end zone, to get to Super Bowl, right? And so it's a thing where when you translate that to business, almost all business aspects, unless you're a micro business, is around that team aspect. And it's play your role. Play your role to the best of your ability so the whole team can succeed. And that's why I believe that team sports and team athletes really make great business people, because they understand that I may have something that you may not have, and you may have something that I may not have. And that's going to make us stronger when we can collaborate. Is there collaborative competition? Absolutely. But when we collaborate, we do things that we could never do separately. And that's why I really, really love team sports. And I love how that translates to business, because that's every business aspect you have, every program, every event. You're working with a team of people who are different than you. And if you're not pulling out the best from those individuals, then you're not getting the best that you can actually put on the table. And so that's how I really translate that. And why, when I walk into a room, when you talk about my feeling about professionally, I'm like, okay, well, he has this. I know I don't have it. She has this. I know I don't have it. How can we start to work together and strategically move this needle? And that's, to me, the best way to actually perform and get, like, when I was at the NFL, we had on the revenue side record breaking years, because I could say, even as a leader, I don't know how to do this, but we're going to bring in somebody who does. That's what people mean when they say, don't be the smartest one in the room. They don't mean just be a dummy. They mean find people that can surround the team with all kinds of diversity of thought and leadership and skill sets and experience, because that's what's going to make this valuable.
100%. And I like that saying of "don't be the smartest guy in the room." Definitely. And where you were talking, what brings me to my mind is the Bar Ambassadors initiative, the Bar Ambassadors program. A huge shout out to them, which is a program at Bauer, and we talk to like potential students that want to come in, potential donors that want to donate some money to Bauer. But the team, the officer team, is like the perfect example of being a team player. You know, there's been countless moments where I just feel so overwhelmed because, man, I don't know how to do this. I don't know how this is gonna go when it comes to like situations where I'm not very familiar with the outcome. But I know that I can rely on people like Jorge, Eddie, Yi, Karenina, Andre, uh, because every single one of us has a different trait that contributes to the success of Bauer Ambassadors. And I'm so excited that once I graduate, I get to continue to experiment and continue to like be a team player because, you know, like uh, naturally we're just individuals. We
Yeah.
always going towards like what is the best for me until we're placed in a situation where you have to get rid of that mindset and just see what's best for the team. So that's why I remember like that was one of the most memorable things that you mentioned about your career in the NFL, um, because 18 years.
It's a long time. I tried to get Tom Brady. He just wouldn't retire.
It's quite remarkable.
Thank you.
Um, Big part of the purpose behind this podcast, Natera, is to prepare the upcoming professionals, the upcoming innovators. So talking about H-Town Roundup, which was an amazing event. Over 5,000 people attending, for innovators, tech enthusiasts, entrepreneurs. Uh, like it was free, thankfully, this year. Thank you to all the sponsors for making that possible. But it was just impeccable, and it was like a big eye opener. So I want to ask you and talk to us about the amazing resources that Houston has to offer for future entrepreneurs and future tech enthusiasts.
That's fantastic. And just to give HTR and the whole team a shout out, and thank you for shouting out the sponsors, because yes, they did make it for free for people, and that's why we had so much reach. It's one of those things where Greater Houston is going to have conferences. We have a lot of conferences, specifically in tech and innovation, or something around and even South by Southwest in Austin was the very next week. But what Greater Houston doesn't have is a collaboration of all of those different tech and innovation and entrepreneurship areas around the city, so that people can know what else is out there. So when someone asks you, what, like you just asked me, what makes Greater Houston really special in this space, people can now start to rattle that off because they went to the TMCI on Monday, or they went to Greentown Labs on Thursday. So we showcase multiple of the venues that support this ecosystem. We showcase multiple of the organizations and the leaders that actually support this ecosystem, so that we know that if someone comes into this greater Houston market, they can say, oh, you know what, at HTR, I heard that so-and-so has a cup of Joey's every month, or so-and-so has a networking reception every other Tuesday. The Tech and Tequila, it happens every first of the month on a Tuesday. And so we wanted people to understand, as you start this year and you're coming into greater Houston, there are a number of resources that are available to you. So we've got over 80 different accelerators and incubators that can help to propel individuals. We've got mentorship programs. We've got peer-to-peer mentorship programs. We have advocates and advisors. On our website, we now have the biggest spaces and places in the hubs of tech and innovation, so that you can't say anymore that I don't know where to go if I need co-working space, or I don't know where to go if I need help with my XYZ business, if I need product market fit advice or something like that. We now have a place where any event that is happening in the startup economy is placed on our website. And so you know what's happening in the greater Houston community. And that we want it to be a wayfinding sign, just like HDR was sort of that wayfinding kind of event to let you know what's happening around greater Houston. This is our website is now a wayfinding sign for, pointing you out in the direction that you want to go. So we have it. You name it, we have it. If you anything, what I really, really want in my heart of hearts, and it's part of our mission statement, is for greater Houston to be the best place to start, grow, or exit a scalable business. There is absolutely no reason why we can't be number one in that. And that's what we're working toward, being number one, not number two, not number 7, not number 20, but number one. The cost of living, the accessibility of our leaders, the actual people who have been there, done that can advise and peer-to-peer network with you, the friendliness and the warmth of, you mentioned Esperson. Esperson is one of the warmest ecosystem places in greater Houston that is people didn't even know about. And so we showcase those kinds of things so that people can become aware of Tech Bridge, of the spaceport, of what's happening in the Woodlands, of what's happening in Fort Bend. You don't have to drive into, downtown. But if you wanted to, you have the beautiful building of the Ion. You've got cannons all over this greater Houston region. And that's what we want people to understand and know. And that's what I'm really, really excited about. Sorry, I get very passionate about that.
Oh my god! It's just like, the more that you talk about it, it's just like it's electric. It is electric to know that we are surrounded by all these things. And I remember, now that you mentioned, while you were at last semester at the Leadership Night event, you were like, who here has been at the Ion, and who here has been at Greenhouse Labs? Nobody was like,
Yeah.
and it was like, guys, I look at us with like a big. I hadn't been at the Ion or the Greenhouse Labs by then, but it was like, I thankfully I was there for Asian Roundup, and one thing that really blew my mind about some of the panels at Asian Roundup was that while the people were talking, there was like a brief pause for every like intervention when it was like, oh, you got this type of business, let's connect. Like, let me give you
Yeah.
my business card. And then like everyone would do the same, and it was like, oh, this is how like they connected, and this is like how business starts.
Yeah.
So, Natara, uh, this has been an amazing interview, and I want to exit the interview by asking this question, which is my favorite question: what makes you happy?
One, my family. So I have an amazing husband. I have an amazing baby girl, a new baby girl. She's about to turn 1.
Oh my
So
god!
getting ready for her first birthday party, which is I've got sucked into having a big to do, which she will not remember. But they make me happy. But more so, they give me joy.
Mm,
And I get joy from God, and I love the fact that He has blessed me with a manifestation of His love for me through family, not only my immediate family but my extended family, and then just making sure that I am my best me. And that means that I am working and walking in a purpose. And for me right now, Houston Exponential and walking in that purpose is helping people and start businesses, seeing their dreams fulfilled. Like you told me that you wanted to do live podcasting. That makes me happy when you get to fulfill that. Just even being a part of something that is someone's dream and goal, to me, there's no better place to be. It's like I love being a part of something that's bigger than myself. And that is why I stayed at the NFL
Mm.
for 18 and a half years, because it was really, really that. At the end of the day, it's a job. In fact, it was multiple jobs, but it was when the season kicked off and the ball got kicked, it was about being a part of something that was bigger than myself. And now through this effort, I get to do the same, watching people fulfill and live out their dreams through entrepreneurship is incredible.
Definitely. And I love that, like the joy that this brings out of you. It's amazing. And I'll take this opportunity to say like what makes me happy and what brings me joy is, being grateful and just like remembering that gratitude every day, not only for the things that surround me, like my life is just amazing, but the people that surround me. I've had just incredible amounts of support towards just the everyday ongoing like shenanigans with the podcast itself. People not only here at Especially like Christine and whatnot, but also like my friends at UH, Ronak, Karen, um, among others, which they're just always been supportive. And wrapping my head around the idea that someone wants to see me succeed
Yeah.
just out of love and out of happiness, that is just means the world to me. So with that said, Natara, I want to thank you again for being the first in-person interview for the Reach Out podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored.
And to all of you guys, make sure to check us out on social media on LinkedIn. Everything will be linked down. Make sure to please, please, please check the Ion, the Greenhouse Lab. Check their social media. They're always posting their events on a weekly basis. So please do that. Natara, they can find you on LinkedIn if I'm not
They can
mistaken.
find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Houston Exponential social media as well. You can find us on our website. So you can find me.
Absolutely.
Always on University of Houston campus as well. At the Tech Branch. At the
At the
Tech
Tech
Branch.
Branch. Yes. It's been a while, but I want to end this off like as always, was don't be afraid to reach out because it's not about the things that you can get from people, but it's about those connections that you make through those conversations. So thank you guys and see you later.
Bye.